You're listening to Espresso Shots Live. Tune in every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. for your digital caffeine.
It's a little too on the nose if you ask me. I mean,
No, it's going to be fine, and you look fabulous.
Okay.
Okay, here we go, and action. Welcome to Espresso Shots. My name is John, filming my intro from my backyard again this week because it's been such an awesome week weather-wise. It's been so warm, so much sunshine in the last week, but I'm not going to tell you anything more about the weather. I'll let our chief meteorologist, Happy McSunny, tell you more about that later on in the program. Today we want to talk a little bit about Canada Day, or Dominion Day, which is coming up, not today, but a week from today. And we have an exciting guest on board to talk about how we're going to celebrate that in the village of Westport, because it's a little bit different this year. 2020 has thrown a curveball at us, so we've had to adapt. Just like all businesses and people have had to adapt, we've had to adapt. I wanted to talk a little, before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about my backstory as a Canadian and what makes me proud to be Canadian, and what kind of gets me right there in the good old, oh yeah, I was going to put a shirt on before I started doing this intro. I have my beautiful Life's Good shirt, my Canada Life's Good shirt. I should put it on. It's so warm, I hate to put a shirt on, but I guess I better. This is a respectable family kind of show. Okay, getting back to where we were talking about me, my favorite subject, me. So what makes me a proud Canadian? What kind of gets me in the heartstrings? What makes my Canadian fiber? What makes me tick? Well, let me tell you. I was born in northern Quebec, a small town called Sheffville, Quebec, which was basically, I guess you'll call it landlocked, because there was no way to drive to Sheffville. You had to either fly in or take the QNSNL train, which was about a 10-hour train ride. So it was a very small town, about 5,000 people. I mean, not that small, but small, and tight-knit community. Very cold. We basically had two seasons in Sheffville. We had winter and spring, and those seemed to be the two seasons. And winter ran about 10 months, and spring ran about 2 months. So definitely cold. A really diverse group of people. It was a mining community ran by the Iron Ore IOC, the Iron Ore Company of Canada, and so mostly all miners that were there, and half the population was French-speaking Quebecers. We had a large population of Cree, so we had the Montagnier and then the Scapy Cree, so and English. And we primarily spoke English in my house, but in school we had to know a little bit of Cree, we had to know a little bit of French, and we had to know some English, obviously, to get through our school systems. And in that small town, we had two schools. We had, obviously, the French Catholic school and then the public school. I went to the public school. In my last year in Sheffville, I think it was grade 5, my parents thought they'd put me into the French school. I didn't understand the whole semester. I didn't know what was going on. I was just sitting there and smiling and not knowing a thing. But that's okay. I guess I absorbed something. I know a few French words. So that was my first, I guess, 11 years of my life. And from there we moved to 1 year. We lived in Ontario, a small town, Tweed, Ontario. And then from there we moved to northern Alberta, Grand Cache, Alberta. So a big shout out to all my friends in Grand Cache, Alberta that grew up with me and maybe are still up in that area. Another small town, tight-knit community, Grand Cache. And talking about Canadians and what a diverse area that was, people from all over the world that mined there, and a big logging community as well. So when you look at celebrations for Canada Day, in Alberta, we'll talk a bit about Alberta, then I'll jump back to Quebec because I skipped over it. Alberta's joins Confederation in 1905 along with Saskatchewan. So late comer to Canada, but very proud people that live in Alberta, very proud of their country, very patriotic to the province of Alberta, and some great celebrations that I went to when I was a kid there. I'll say a kid, I was between 12 and 18 years of age, and I can remember going down to Victor Lake and Pure Gray and up on the Sulphur Flats and Hell's Gates. I remember having big bonfires up at Hell's Gates for Canada Day. It was a great place to grow up. Going back to Quebec as well. Now, in Quebec, Canada Day wasn't as big of a celebration when I was younger. At least I don't remember it that way. The bigger celebration was just kind of before that, which was the 24th of June, which was their big day, which is called Saint Jean Baptiste Day. And actually Canada Day lines up in Quebec with a day called Moving Day. So it's a day where they kind of, I guess, renegotiate their leases. I think that's when leases expire for residential housing. I don't fully understand what it is, but it's Moving Day. And I can always remember that was a thing. So fast forward, end up in Ontario. And another small town in Ontario. Here I am in Westport, Ontario. And I've lived in a few different places, around the Niagara Falls area. We lived in Kingston. But here we are in another small, tight-knit community of Ontario, Westport, Ontario. And this community knows how to do up a Canada Day celebration. If you've never been here, I've been to Ottawa 3 times for Canada Day celebrations. The last time with my family, my wife and kids. And maybe that was a decade ago, 10 years ago. And it's great. The fireworks are nice. There's lots of people. It's really busy. But until you've been in a small town Canada Day celebration, there's nothing like it, especially here in Westport. The fireworks that they've had over the years here are spectacular. People come from all over to hang out for the day, which is great. But this year is different. Like I said, we've got a curveball thrown at us, and we have to kind of adapt and change things up. So my guest tonight is going to talk a little bit about what she has up her sleeve to kind of make Canada Day special to the village of Westport and to the Rideau Lakes. So if you're thinking about maybe not coming to Westport because you don't think it's going to be as fun, I think it'll be pretty spectacular nonetheless. And you definitely want to get out and celebrate your country. We have a lot to be proud of. So sometimes I can get a little bit choked up when I talk about Canada as well, because it means a lot to me. It's near and dear to my heart. I have so many experiences and things that I can reference here. So many great people in this country, very accepting. I know the world right now is going through a whole turmoil of recalibrating itself, and I think that's all going to work out just fine. It may take a while, but I know from my experiences in Canada, everybody is welcome, and Canadians are pretty tolerable. I can't even say that word. Pretty tolerable. Blah blah. Pretty easygoing. We're a pretty easygoing bunch. So that's what I wanted to say. So let's, without further ado, I'm gonna go grab my guest here virtually and bring her on, and I want you guys to chirp in and tell me, tell me some of your Canada Day stories, and what are you gonna do what are you doing this year? Have you had anything planned or not? One thing in Canada they teach you in school is it's a skill that all Canadians have, and you may not even know this, but you have this skill, and you've been taught this along with the lumberjack song and the words to Stompin' Tom. These are things that we all know, and that is how to open a beer, and not only a beer, but a Canadian, a classic Canadian Pilsner here. How to open a beer with any object within 3 feet of you. Basically anything you can grab, any Canadian can open up a beer in Canada. And I'll show you that right now. So my son has an axe out here on the yard because he does axe throwing. And I'll just crank this beer open with his axe. There we go. Oh, stuck right in the tree. Cheers, everybody. Let's go grab our guest, and let's see what's happening in the village of Westport. That's better than Espresso on a day like today, I tell you. Although the iced, chilled, brewed coffee at the Cottage Coffee House is pretty darn good too. But this is not a bad thing. Oh, you guys are still here. Oh yeah, that's right. I promised you a special guest to talk about Westport. We'll get there. But before we do that, I had enough foresight to film last year's Canada Day parade in the village of Westport. So I'm going to show you that parade right now because I think you'd like to see it. So here's a quick view of our parade last year, and then we're going to slide right over and grab our special guest. Stay with me. Welcome to Espresso Shots. My name is John, and guess what day it is today? It's Canada Day. I'm having my lobster latte this morning. A latte in my lobster cup. There's actually no lobster in the latte. That would make it clam chowder.
It's Canada Day, up Canada way, on the first day of July. And we're shouting hooray, up Canada way, when the maple leaf flies high. When the silver jets from east to west go streaming through our sky. We'll be shouting hooray, up Canada way, when the great parade goes by. Oh, Canada, standing tall together, we raise our hands and hail our flag, the maple leaf forever. It's Canada Day, up Canada way, on the coast of Labrador. And we're shouting hooray, up Canada way, on the wide Pacific shore. People everywhere have a song to share on Canada.
Welcome to the show, Robin.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm doing just fabulous. Sorry that intro was so long.
Oh, well, it ended with, well, not the best part, but kind of the best part because we're not going to see a parade next week. So it was great that you showed that.
Nice. The parade has turned into quite a thing. I remember, I don't know how long it's been going on, Robin, maybe 10 years, but it started off pretty small, and it just seems to grow and grow every year. And unfortunately, this year we're not going to get one.
Right. That's unfortunate. But we are going to pick up some of the pieces that we normally do. At the beginning of the parade every year, we announce the the person who has won the provincial recognition for the village of Senior of the Year. And we've had many wonderful people be recognized in the past. We've recognized Father Thomas, Doris Jones, and Shirley Howard. Of course, we lost both Doris and Shirley in the last year, so it was fitting that we had the opportunity to recognize them, and Fanny Murphy. So we keep it a surprise until normally just as we step off on the parade, but we're going to incorporate that into this year's plan as well and announce the winner of this year's Senior of the Year on Canada Day.
So you're not going to let this Canada Day just slip away without anything happening. You've got a bit of a plan up your sleeve, and I know you got about 20 plus volunteers to help you out. Can you tell me what exactly is going on?
So we may not be able to congregate, but we can decorate. So we have plans to decorate every property in the village. The volunteers are going to come out on the evening of the 30th, and they've kind of got their instructions. They've got the places where they're supposed to go, and they'll have their supplies. And we hope it's a little bit like Christmas morning, that when people wake up on July the 1st and they look at their street, they see our hometown pride in red and white everywhere. And we hope that by talking about it tonight, people will take a look at their own houses and see how can they improve, make their house look great for Canada Day. And the businesses, I know your place always does something, as does Cynthia's, but we're really encouraging people to get red and white in their windows this year. It's for us. It's for us because we don't have this year, the Friends of the Library, we're going to put the breakfast on by the library and the post office. We can't do that. We normally partner with the Township of Rideau Lakes. We've done that the last couple of years to coordinate the events, which includes, of course, our Canada Day bicycle parade. We still call it the bicycle parade, but it's lots of other things in there as well. The fireworks and what goes on in between. Of course, Dave Wickenden is a big part of that. So if we can decorate, if people can decorate their own places, we're going to take care of the streets. When we wake up Canada Day, we're going to know that we are so proud to be in you and I have lived a lot of places. There's no place like Westport, and there's no place like Westport to celebrate Canada Day, but also for the people who come to town that day. They're going to drive into the village and go, wow, these people love where they live and they love being Canadian. So that's what's going to happen on the evening before Canada Day. And then we've got plans for Canada Day morning as well.
So, so that's pretty exciting, and I know I'm on that list of volunteers. Cynthia and I and the kids are going to. We got our street signs. We're getting ready for that, so that'll be fun. So next week will be Wednesday. Will actually be Espresso Shot Day. We'll probably do a little bit of filming that night, and we'll incorporate that into the show for next week as well. So that's pretty fun. So yeah, so on Canada Day, you actually have kind of a special thing happening too, and you told me a little bit about it before the show, but I'm going to let you tell people what exactly is going on that day.
Okay, well, this is pretty thrilling. So we are going to have a Zoom call, and I think everybody in North America, probably the world, knows what Zoom is about. So we're going to have a Zoom Canada Day birthday call, and from 9:30 to 10:30. I'll give you the details later, but I'll talk about the fun stuff before we get into the how do you get on stuff. So the Zoom call is going to start at 9:30, and that drum roll is when we will start the call, and that's when we will announce our Senior of the Year, and we're hoping to coordinate it so that they're on the call, but they don't know they're being announced, and we have someone at their door, all the details. But anyway, we hope that that works out because this person has been a very, very strong, hardworking member in our community. So then we've got some guests that are going to come on as well. The incredible, amazing MPP Steve Clark is going to join us and bring Canada Day greetings from the province of Ontario. And not that he's not incredible, we just know Steve better, but the very amazing member of Parliament, Michael Barrett, will also be on bringing greetings from the Government of Canada. They've also agreed to answer any of your questions. So this is another opportunity where you'll probably have about 20 minutes if you have questions from the businesses about some of the opportunities or granting or exemptions that have been offered by any one of the governments. You can certainly come on, but you'll be on the call, I hope, and you can ask both MPP Clark and MP Barrett. And anytime I talk about MPP Clark, I have to give a shout out to him because I think you know, John, there's been times when we've got issues with businesses in town, and it really just an opportunity of getting a hold of MPP Clark. And I like to call him a full contact MPP. Like he really does get back to us. So that'll take us about the first half of the call. And then the next guest who is coming on, I really hope that everybody is excited about this as you are. And our next guest that's going to come on is the Honorable Elizabeth Dowdeswell, the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario.
Wow.
And so we'll remind people that the Lieutenant Governor is the Queen's representative in Canada for the province, not to take away from the Governor General. And she has agreed to come on for the half hour. So we're of course, she'll be bringing greetings from the Queen. But she also wants to kind of hang with us on Canada Day on the Zoom call. And any questions that we want to ask her, she's prepared for them. I'm not giving them to her in advance. I'm really going to encourage people to think about them and let me know that they want to be asked to speak up. But questions like for our children, it might be a teaching opportunity for the parents to review with them what a lieutenant governor does. That might be a question that one of the younger people want to ask is, how do they fulfill the role as the Queen's representative in the province? But, I probably would look at it a little differently. I probably want to say something like, if I was lieutenant governor for a day, I would ... And what are the changes that you'd like to make in society? Because we're going to give lieutenant governor in this hypothetical all the power of the Queen. So that's really exciting. I'll explain before we sign off how people can get involved. But I just think it's terrific that in this very amazing village that we all contributed to the spirit of, we get to have every order of government coming in and bringing Canada Day greetings.
So, Robin, I got to ask you, before we started, you said that you sit in that spot quite often on that chair, many, many hours. And you seem like you're the mirror that never sleeps. I saw you this morning, by the way, walking your dog. I was doing some filming this morning of Dan and Josephine's tree. And so how did you kind of coordinate that to have these guests? Well, mainly the last guest. How did you coordinate to have that happen?
I'm not sure how I ended up with an email from her honor's office. I was an aide de camp. So the person that works with the lieutenant governor, governor general, is called an aide de camp, and that's the person responsible to get the lieutenant governor from A to B. Although she's only zooming tomorrow, and I was an aide de camp several years ago when Hal Jackman was the lieutenant governor. So I'm not quite sure how I ended up with this information, but I responded right away. I didn't check with anybody. I just thought, boy, if there's only so many hours in the day, and they got right back and said that she's confirmed. So then I said, well, how long do I have her for? Is it 10 minutes? And they said, no, she's going to contribute the half hour. So let's make the most of it, Westport. And yeah, I think, as I said to John earlier, I've met her in large crowds a couple of times. And she's just a lovely woman. She's been the lieutenant governor since 2014. She's an amazing person that it would be great if you could have some questions for her.
Right. So maybe we should talk about the details, how that happens. You said you're going to talk a bit about that because I'm sure there's going to be lots of people that want to kind of get on board and get on that Zoom call.
Exactly. And so we do understand that we just can't post the login information for Zoom for many of you who were on that first one with me when we got bombed by trolls, words that I had never used in this context before, but we all kind of lived it. So if you're interested in being on the Zoom call, you just have to email Patty Mueller at Town Hall. This will be in the paper this week. It'll be on my website later, and I'm sure that it'll be on What's on Westport. Trevor will likely share it. Patty Mueller, you just have to send her an email and say that you're interested in being given the information to join the Zoom call. And then that's it. Then on the day before the call, so on June 30th, you'll receive information on how to sign in. If you're interested in, so I think there'll be a lot of people on. So I'm suggesting that if you've got a question you want to ask MPP Clark, MP Barrett, or the Lieutenant Governor, don't need to know what your question is, but get your name in the queue. Right. And then when one question's over, then we can get through more people if we're not waiting for people to put up their hand. So I think that's it. Let us know that you want to be on the call. Please, let's make this the best Canada Day that we can. So try and decorate your house, get involved how you can with the red and white. And, it's important to remind you of a couple of things about the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. We still have an emergency in the province. We still have an emergency in the village. We have a lot more latitude now at the end of June than we did in March, but we just need to be smart. So Canada Day, tomorrow, any day, wear your face mask when you can't physically distance. And it's not about you catching the virus from somebody. We know that the number of people who spread the virus are those that are asymptomatic. They're not sick yet. They don't know they're sick, and they're out in the public. So that's why people should wear masks, is so you don't infect somebody else. Remember to physically distance. And if we do those things, I believe that in our area here, if we continue to do those things, we'll ride out whatever the rest of this monster pandemic has to dish out to us, because we know how to stay safe. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and physically distance.
Yeah. You know what? I challenge every business owner in the village of Westport to step up to the plate and put as much effort into it as Robin has. And I think if we all do that, we'll make the village outstanding, and it'll be different, but it'll be unique and fun. And again, Robin, that's awesome that you've coordinated all this stuff. And again, the mayor that never sleeps, you're always working on something with the village in mind, and that's awesome. I'm going to take you away from your business role here for a second and ask you some personal questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. So my first question is, as a good Canadian, or not a good Canadian, as a Canadian, is there a Canadian song that really you enjoy? Is there a song that really says, this is my favorite Canadian song or my favorite Canadian artist?
Geez. So you're asking somebody who's a Bruce Springsteen fan, number one. I could sing you any of his songs. Geez, you stumped me there. What's yours? And then maybe that'll give me 10 seconds to think of one.
Well, like Tragically Hip, there's Bryan Adams.
Yes, I am
Celine
Stompin'
Dion.
Tom.
I am a Stompin' Tom.
Yeah, I think Stompin' Tom. That would probably be it. A little bit of country there.
Nice.
Yeah.
And okay, your favorite. Go ahead, Robin.
No, I stopped singing.
No, I want you to sing that. I want to hear that.
I know. Now I'm not going to. Now I'm embarrassed.
Okay. So your favorite Canadian beverage. And there's only one answer.
Yeah, Canadian. Molson Canadian.
Or I would have taken coffee as well.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true.
And Robin, what's your most memorable Canada Day that you celebrated? What was it? Was it when you were very young or as you got a bit older? When was it and what was so special about it?
So it was probably within the last, I've been here 10. So when I was in Thunder Bay. So that was the 4 years before that. And it was at the Thunder Bay Powwow, which is on July 1st. And the powwows throughout I've been to many in Ontario, but the one in Thunder Bay was amazing because it was the blend of, it was a point in time where people forgot about their differences and remembered that we're all Canadian and that we can work together. And I was a chief of the First Nation Police Service up there. And so it was a great time that people just came together to celebrate our common parts of being Canadian. So yeah, I reflect on that. I often think that I should jump in my car like about June 29th and drive up there, but you probably can't relive it. It probably wouldn't be as good as it was then.
Exactly. And speaking about Thunder Bay, a shout out to Frank and Heather Huff, who are up in Thunder Bay visiting their son and their new grandchild. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting for those guys. So
and they'll be looking at the sleeping giant tonight, just marveling at how stunning it is. Yeah.
And by the sleeping giant, are you referring to Frank or?
That's fabulous. I got to remember that. I hope he sees this. Yes. The sleeping giant is, the island out in Lake Superior. But I like yours much better.
Perfect. So Robin, as you know, we have a famous meteorologist that does the weather for us. So I'm gonna ask you for your final words for the night, and I'm gonna play our local weather report, and I'm gonna bid you adieu.
Thanks for inviting me on, John. I love your show. I know that sounds corny, but I try to remember every Wednesday night to watch it. But thank you again. So for everybody who's listening, week today is Canada Day, and we need to kind of shout out loud. We've been through a significant last 4 months, so we can still enjoy Canada Day and we can be safe. Thank you to the volunteers who are coming out to help decorate the village. And thank you in advance, of course, to MPP Clark and MP Barrett and to the Lieutenant Governor. Imagine in our little village of Westport, we're going to have the Lieutenant Governor for half an hour just answering our questions.
That's fabulous. Anyway, thanks again, Robin, for joining me. I'm glad you're enjoying this show. I enjoy bringing it every week, and we'll continue to do so. And without any more said, I'm going to slide over and bring our meteorologist into the show. Have a good night, Robin.
Good night, John. Thank you.
Reporting to you live from Westport and the Rideau Lakes area. Tonight's winds are gusting from a northwesterly direction, but we're going to have some great weather for the next 5 to 7 days. High of 27, low of 17. This forecast has been brought to you by Jake by the Lake, the Life is Good store. Now, back to you in the studio, John.
Well, as always, a fantastic job by Happy McSunny. And I'd like to bring another special guest in, sitting here with me tonight, because she, owner of Jake by the Lake here. Slide on in, Mrs. Cynthia. So you also have a sale happening on Canada Day. You've done this for many, many a year. Tell us about that.
Yes, so this year is our, sorry, I'm listening to John from about 10 seconds back. Jake by the Lake celebrates Canada Day by having our annual tax-free day. As many of you have seen from our website and our social media marketing, that we operate by appointment only. But on Canada Day, we are going to do kind of a first come, first serve, one family at a time. And that allows us for time in between each family or social bubble to disinfect between each customer. But that day we're not operating by appointment. It'll be family by family. And we'll have our annual tax-free day. So those that like to come in every year and get their new Life is Good Canada Tea, we will be there for you. And if you have any questions, just call the shop at 273-8292 or send me off an email.
All right. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Westport, Ontario, the best village in Ontario, the best mayor in Ontario, the best business owners in Ontario. Hey, and we have a pretty cool brewery here as well. And Kevin was telling me this morning that he's got a fresh batch of IPA on. So get down there, grab yourself some of those for Canada Day. A great way to celebrate. Hit all of the businesses that you can. Support them all. They all need your help. They all need your love. Ice cream shops are back open again. Martha's selling soft serve. We have the Vanilla Bean back at it with their hard serve. And we're doing our gelato as well. So there's lots of options there for ice cream. So get on out, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Again, a big thank you to Robin for joining me. And I know she watches my show every week. She comments, and I truly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Peace, love, and coffee.